Terrifying insects are invading Earth, and their bites are turning people into monsters. At the start of the story, an office is completely covered in a giant spider web, with motionless employees lying in cocoons on the floor. Suddenly, a massive stinger pierces one of them. A man named Cooper is running late for work and talking on the phone with his father, who is upset with Cooper's constant problems and how they embarrass the family. As Cooper tries to convince his father things aren't so bad, he narrowly avoids being hit by a car. Finally, Cooper arrives at his job at a call center. On the way to his desk, he cracks a few silly jokes with his co-workers, but before he can start work, his boss, Maureen, calls him into her office. She received complaints about Cooper's inappropriate behavior with clients and plans to fire him. Their conversation is interrupted by a loud sound, causing everyone in the office to pass out. Days later, the entire office is now covered in webs, and eerie insects move around, stinging the cocooned people. Cooper wakes up and frees himself from the cocoon, feeling ill from the strange white slime. Suddenly, a giant beetle attacks him, but despite his fear, he fights it off. After calming down, Cooper notices that his boss, Maureen, is nearby, trapped in a cocoon. He frees her, and she too feels sick and confused. Maureen remembers she was supposed to meet her daughter before this strange event happened, and fears for her safety. She wonders if anyone else outside the building is alive. Cooper and Maureen rush out of the office, only to find the people on the street trapped in cocoons as well. Maureen spots her daughter Sarah in a car, and Cooper helps rescue her. However, Sarah, confused, sprays Cooper with gas, thinking he's a threat. Just then, a giant wasp-like insect swoops in, grabbing Maureen and flying off with her. Sarah screams in terror, but there's nothing they can do to stop it. With Cooper's eyes burning from the gas, he and Sarah realize they need to escape quickly. They soon discover that the insects react to sound when Sarah knocks over a trash can, and they're able to distract the bugs by setting off her car alarm. Taking advantage of the chaos, they escape and hide in a nearby cafe. Sarah is deeply worried about her mother and wants to help the people in the cafe. But Cooper hesitates, unsure of how people will react. As they debate what to do, a man named Hugo grabs Sarah by the neck. Cooper feared this kind of reaction, but gets punched when he tries to intervene. Just then, one of the terrifying insects returns and attacks Cooper, only for Hugo to destroy it, saving him. Sarah, regaining her composure, decides to wake up the others in the cafe: Cindy, Albert, Litchi, Roger, PJ, and a police officer. Together, they try to figure out their next move. Roger suggests leaving in his truck, but Sarah warns him that noise attracts the insects. Ignoring her advice, Roger and PJ start the truck, which immediately draws giant beetles that destroy the vehicle. PJ, trying to escape, breaks his leg and is later crushed under the truck's wheel. The insects drag Roger away, and during the chaos, the police officer is killed. Albert, Hugo's father, gets stung in the back by an insect, unaware of how this wound will affect him. The remaining survivors take refuge in a nearby building. Litchi suggests exploring, and they head to the roof, where they see red smoke and a swarm of wasp-like creatures flying away. Unsure of what to do next, Cooper suggests heading to his retired military father's bunker, which has all the supplies they need. But can they survive the journey? While discussing their options, a group of insects flies toward them. Litchi waves her arms, but the insects fly past, revealing that these monsters are blind and rely solely on sound. The group decides to learn more about the insects. They trap a beetle using a radio and lock it in a closet. Litchi proposes studying the venom like one would milk a snake. Though the others are reluctant, they agree and manage to extract the venom. As they wait for results, the survivors reminisce about what happened before they passed out. They all heard a painful sound, like a dog whistle. Lychee discovers that the venom acts as a sedative due to a special protein complex. She also notes that the red gas they saw earlier might be emitted by the insects, though its purpose remains unclear. Exhausted, the group decides to spend the night in the building and head to Cooper's father's bunker in the morning, stopping at each survivor's home along the way. Cooper, struggling to sleep, remembers where he met Sarah before. She seems familiar to him. When he goes to look for food, he is startled by a few small bugs crawling out of a box. Even more frightening, Cindy appears behind him. She works in television and suggests they go to the studio to contact the outside world. She wants to leave with only Cooper, who begins to realize she's attracted to him. Though he likes Cindy, his feelings are conflicted. The next morning, the trapped beetle in the closet starts making loud noises that could attract more insects. Albert breaks in and kills it. Realizing it's time to leave, everyone except Lychee heads out toward the city. Cooper tries to talk to Sarah, but she shuts him down, sarcastically accusing him of being immature. They exchange sharp remarks, both confident in their assessments of one another. Soon, they reach Albert and Hugo's house, where they check on Hugo's bedridden mother. Inside, they discover that she has already passed away. Distraught, Albert comes out with a gun, ready to move forward despite Cooper's warnings that noise will attract the bugs. When they reach Cindy's brother's house, they notice several people in cocoons lying suspiciously nearby. Cindy's brother, now a half-human, half-insect mutant, emerges from the garage holding another cocoon. He attacks the group and wounds Cooper. Though Cindy tries to reason with him, Hugo and Albert are forced to kill the creature, barely recognizable as her brother. Inside the house, Sarah tends to Cooper's wound, while the others secure the area. Cooper asks Sarah to promise to run if he ever turns into a monster. They talk, sharing more about themselves. Cooper reveals he recently lost his mother, which adds to his emotional turmoil. Meanwhile, Albert starts feeling unwell, possibly due to the insect bite. He asks Sarah to take care of his son, Hugo, a request that surprises her. As the group continues their journey, tensions rise when Cindy becomes hysterical after seeing Cooper and Sarah holding hands. Her screaming attracts more insects, and in desperation, Albert shoots her to stop the noise. Another battle ensues with the terrifying wasps. Though the group manages to fend off the creatures, Sarah is captured and flown away by one of them. After a long journey, Cooper, Albert, and Hugo finally reach their destination. Cooper's father, Ethan, frantically calls for his beloved dog, Lucy. Cooper begs him to stop shouting. As evening falls, Albert's tooth unexpectedly falls out, and he begins a horrifying transformation into a grotesque mutant. He attacks Cooper, but the young man manages to distract the creature, giving Albert's son, Hugo, the opportunity to shoot his father. The gunshot attracts a swarm of insects. Ethan swiftly destroys one of them, and the trio seeks refuge in a nearby bedroom. There, they find a mutated Lucy, but Ethan is able to distract her with her favorite toy. Suddenly, a horde of monstrous beetles attacks. Cooper, Ethan, and Hugo take cover in a bunker, where Ethan abruptly turns off the light, bidding them good night. Cooper's memory flashes back to an incident where he almost got hit by a car. It's revealed that Sarah was the driver. They argue, but Cooper gives Sarah his number, claiming he might have damaged her car. This is just an excuse to ask her out. The sound of his father's voice wakes Cooper from a dream. At breakfast, Ethan announces there are no government messages on the radio, meaning they are on their own. He equips Cooper with camouflage clothes and plans a route to a safe place. Cooper is frustrated that his father continues to make decisions without him, especially since he intends to sneak into the insect nest to rescue Sarah. Ethan refuses to help him. Undeterred, Cooper decides to rescue Sarah himself, but is swiftly arrested by the military and thrown into prison. He is confused until an old man in the neighboring cell explains that the authorities believe they are all infected and will soon turn into mutated beetles. The old man shares his story, revealing that he was a member of the Lychee group, tasked with dealing with the insects. They failed, however, due to a flammable gas produced by the beetles, which caused a fire that destroyed their shelter. He is the sole survivor. Meanwhile, Sarah awakens in the insect nest, surrounded by cocoons. She desperately tries to escape. Ethan and Hugo are brought to the site. Cooper attempts to convince the authorities that a bite mark on the back is a surefire way to identify an infected person. They agree to check Ethan's back, but discover he has already been stung. A shootout ensues. The old man, now transformed into an insect, is killed. Ethan manages to outsmart the officers, and the three escape, taking weapons and other essential supplies, including explosives. Ethan, Cooper, and Hugo continue their journey on bicycles found near the site. Ethan reveals that he was stung while rescuing a neighbor's dog from a cocoon. They arrive at a cliff overlooking a massive insect nest. Sarah, horrified, witnesses the queen devouring people trapped in cocoons. She attempts to escape, but encounters a mutant child. The child senses Sarah and screams piercingly. Sarah knows she must flee. Ethan experiences a sudden illness. Cooper offers to help, but Ethan handcuffs him to a tree and has Hugo knock him unconscious. Having nothing left to lose, Ethan decides to infiltrate the nest and blow it up. He bids farewell to his son and departs. Hugo regains consciousness and frees Cooper. Ignoring Ethan's warning, they head towards the nest. Sarah, alert to every sound, encounters Ethan. Mistaking him for a beetle, she stabs him in the hand with a knife. They introduce themselves, and Ethan tells Sarah how to escape. Sarah is heartbroken over the loss of her mother. Ethan calms her down and explains that he came to destroy the nest. Sarah suggests that Ethan take her to the queen's lair. They reach the terrifying location, but the queen is nowhere to be found. Ethan orders Sarah to leave. Suddenly, they discover the queen above them, ready to attack. The queen unleashes a deafening scream, but Hugo is unaffected due to his hearing problems. He throws explosives into her mouth just in time. Cooper continues to shoot, but his father begins to transform into a monster. The trio races towards the exit. Cooper activates the explosives, engulfing the entire nest in flames. Cooper wakes up in the hospital, greeted by Sarah and Hugo. They open the window, and instead of the chilling insect noises, they hear birdsong. The group steps out onto the street and starts rescuing people encased in cocoons. Just as they feel a sense of relief, they turn and are met with something horrifying. What this new menace is, however, remains unknown. If you enjoy it, click and subscribe and watch the next video.